Nerding.
Hey! Well, here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a special episode, all breakdown, all the time, or as we are dubbing, X-Amining 97.
Yes.
Guess who's back?
He is our voice of the ages. And the age, I mean, is of apocalypse. It is Fours, or as we know, Aaron VO.
And to my left, your right, is the beard to end all beards. He is the husbeard. He is the beard bro. He is the god of beards. He is Graveyard.
Thank you. Above me, she is the spot in everyone's sun. Yes, and she will, cast upon lightning and hail upon her enemies. The one and only Frey.
Aw, I feel so staticky. No. And the host with the most, I'm not going to point at him because you all should know who he is by now. He's been doing this forever. It's not old, but young Phil.
Yay.
Yay. Oh, should I
To
have made
me,
it like
my
X-Mini?
nerdman.
To me, my nerdman.
To me, my nerdman.
Or as we know
Nerdman.
him, Deadpool from Wish.
Yeah, I'm Wish Deadpool. I'm the outsider to the boy band.
There you go.
It is not boy band.
Which is why we found out, didn't in Barbie, we found out that Alan, that the olive in sync was Alan.
Right.
Not to bring Barbie into everything, but that just made me laugh. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this special episode that we're doing here, because it's obviously not live, is a breakdown of the first two episodes of X-Men 97. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with X-Men 97, then you're living under a rock. But essentially, it is the revival of the old school X-Men series, the animated series that the four panelists that you see on this show grew up watching, and we were all super excited that the show is back. But now the show is back on, we're all stupid excited, and we're both
extremely excited.
So much that we are giving into the online streaming trend of talking about it on the internet.
Exactly.
Regardless of what your opinions are, we don't care because we're going to make you listen to our opinions.
Yeah. My opinion is not enough X-Force. Just not enough.
Oh my God. Look, we will get into it because I have some things.
Hey, X-Force Easter eggs are in this, but we will get into this. So, in tradition of the breakdown, the first thing we're going to do here is we need to know initial thoughts. What were you guys' thoughts on the show? I'm going to go in the list that I have on the bottom of my screen right now. So, for what were your overall thoughts on the show before kind of going into like more explanation thing? Like, what were your initial thoughts?
I had some fears. Mostly from online stuff, people making, some people who claim they had, early access to it, others with hack stuff, others with, they're throwing out their left or right view on it and turning into something that it isn't.
Right.
And then of course, there's Marvel's recent reputation over the past year and a half, which made me nervous about the show. So, however, every bit of it was put to rest. All of it. Initial thoughts. This is this is going to make fans of just the cartoon, and look, if you grew up with just the cartoon and you didn't want to get into the comics and the cartoon's all you know, no judgment. It was it's what got me into comics.
Yeah.
if you know your X-Men history, if you know, like, from I would say 1974 through 1988, then you will be very happy.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for something new to be surprised, you're gonna be very happy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's my initial thought.
All right. Frey, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. So my thoughts are, because I rewatched like the first 2 seasons and then started watching the final season because I was like, I'm not going to make it through everything before it premieres. And so I was like, okay, let me watch like part of it. So I kind of have an idea like of the last season because I knew this was a continuation. And I have to say, Storm, okay. The way they did Storm in the original X-Men animated series with the I call upon the winds to come, and I'm like, okay, in the 90s I think it was like really cool and badass, but now it's kind of hokey. And so I'm like, all right, because all I can think of is the Venture Brothers, Dr. Orpheus. She sounds almost exactly like him. And I'm like, and so like when I first started rewatching it, I was like, this is so annoying. This is so annoying. But now like seeing it come back again and the like script writing is so much more meaty now that I was like, okay, I kind of love this now. You know what I mean? Like I was like, it totally turned me around for it. Now I don't know if it's because she lost all of her powers and she's not going to say, oh, winds come down and blow these people away. I don't know, but, and the actress does an amazing job at it. She's great. The animation is great now. It was kind of sus back then. And now I'm like, thank goodness that the animation is so much better. And it's nostalgia. It is the nostalgia. Like the little, um, the TV, that little like handheld TV that they had. I was like, oh my God, that's so 90s. Like it was so that. And I was like, you know what? I kind of love this. I kind of love it. And I like that. I liked the changes they made to Cyclops because I mean, he was really whiny. And then there's the thing that we'll talk about it later. But Executioner, he was totally whiny. Look, Aaron, he was whiny. All right. He had a stick so far up his ass, I'm surprised he didn't choke on it. But I'm just saying that I really like the way that they're doing it now. And there's a couple of things that I'm still like, I don't know. But we'll talk about that. But yeah, no, I really thought like the animation was good. The script writing was really good. The issues that they were talking about in the 90s are still as relevant today. And so I'm like, this may be the animated show we needed to like highlight and have people. Maybe this will bring people together. The X-Men have done it before. Let's do it again. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm done.
All right. Graveyard, what are your initial thoughts here?
As all of us growing up, that was something I had to watch. It was always on in the morning on reruns as well, right before school would start. So when I start my day off, it'd hear na 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 na, right? And that's a great way to start off your day in the 90s well, hold on. Started 92-ish, so I've been 8. So it was good. I had reservations. I rewatched all of them recently. I introduced my kids to the animated series a couple of years ago as I was teaching them about the MCU and where this was going before they were officially bought out. I had my wife start to watch them. I had my wife start watching. She's like, I don't care about these. This isn't Days of Future Past. I'm like, you're right, but it is a quintessential show, especially in the 90s, because it only aired a couple months after Batman animated series started. It was supposed to air originally before it. So this brought this huge wave of comic book nerdom, I think, to the forefront, to kids in the 90s. And the art styles are 80s X-Men and early 90s X-Men. You see that. And I was iffy originally, as Aaron pointed out, about the stuff. People are complaining about really stupid things, let's face it. And, as a kid watching like the 5th season, I didn't realize the quality was that different, right? I didn't see it as a kid.
Yeah.
So this really, they did, as we get into it, more like homages to the series. It feels like a true continuation of an animated show to me, because we had DuckTales come back, but it didn't feel like DuckTales because it had that weird new animation style of the really thick lines that we see in everything now. I'd say Powerpuff Girls started that, like really thick black lines on the outlines, and a lot of shows,
almost like a coloring book come to life.
Yeah. And to me, that was my concern, because as much as I love X-Men Evolution, they were sleeker, they were slender, they were the 2000s style art, and didn't work for what we considered to be the X-Men in my head. It wasn't the muscle-bound Cyclops. It wasn't. They were just sleek. And as Saywon pointed out when you guys were doing the show, that Wolverine was taller in that than what he should be.
Yeah.
And so,
there's one episode with Jubilee that I swear to God, she is like almost as big as the freaking X-Mansion.
Yeah.
I was like,
But I think this is a good thing. I want this to do well. I want more seasons of it. Do I think this will drive, Spider-Man, the animated series, come back? I hope so. My only concern that drive force is that DC will see it and do Batman, and it won't be the same without Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
Right.
As much as I'd love it.
The closest we have, or at least the next best thing, is Diedrich Bader. But
but it's still, and the way he does it, he's like comedy Batman, totally flawed, mommy daddy issue Batman.
Right.
And although that's a choice.
Well, and like I said, I think it's going to hold true. I think it's going to draw people into the X-Men and introduce them before they come to the MCU. And I think this is the perfect tent pole to do it.
Got it. Love it. My thoughts initially on this is it essentially is everything that I was expecting and wanting out of the X-Men. Being somebody who watched it in real time while it was on its run, I watched it every Saturday morning. I was a massive X-Men fan. I already was a massive X-Men fan. I was a big Jim Lee fan, and the entire cartoon is based on Jim Lee's run of X-Men. So that whole thing is getting an animated version of Jim Lee's X-Men, and then now we're getting a continuation of that with more updated storylines, and it's still following the storylines, because anything that is more than the comics, it's the animated series was the closest thing that we got to storylines that followed the comic books in a close enough way that it's the only time we got the Phoenix in a way that was done right, because every other version of Dark Phoenix has been garbage.
Can we just say that's the only version of Dark Phoenix we've gotten? We'll just call it only that's the only one.
Hey, if we can say with everyone in the world that Batman and Robin didn't happen, then I am willing to give you that was the only Dark Phoenix saga that we ever got. Is the animated series, because it's with what people forget about with Dark Phoenix is it has to be a slow burn. You have to see her being corrupted and nobody noticing the signs, and they just wanted to rush it. It was like I was saying the other day that they want to rush the reveal, and it's like, no, slow burn it, because that's how comics work. And if you're gonna adapt something from a comic that has a long storyline and is really integral to a character, you slow burn that, because you don't have the payoff, you don't earn it, and it just
But overall, again, and there are things that we got in this that we didn't get that much of in the animated series. Like there are references to Logan's alcoholism in this this, and I think it's because what they're doing is they're realizing that the audience that's watching this is the same audience that grew up watching it. So let's grow up the maturity of this show with the audience that is going to appreciate it the most, right? So you do
Oh, yeah.
have a Logan that's getting that's a little bit alcoholic. You do have a more comic book accurate version of Storm. Like you do have
Mhm.
a more um you do have a better version of Cyclops that's much more interesting to watch,
Mhm.
and seems like more of the badass that he was in the comics, versus I know Forrest doesn't like this. I'm gonna be the second person to say it right here, but he kind of was a whiny little bitch in the first series, you know.
He really was.
That's kind of why a lot of people did not like Cyclops from the original series. Now I know Forrest, you love Cyclops and he can do no wrong, but it's the same thing with there's a lot of characters that have suffered from that, right? And they
Mhm.
did suffer from that. And it was more so, it wasn't so much that Cyclops is a bitch as it was that
Ah!
they wrote it in a way that made him the butt of all the like this he was the center of all the problems for a lot of things, right? It's
Mhm.
the same thing where they did that in the Justice League animated cartoon, where they had to power down Superman and basically made him the bitch. So in that
Mm.
way you can make the rest of the Justice League look more relevant, right? They kind of did the
Yeah.
same thing with Cyclops in the original series, is we have to kind of tone him down in order to make everybody else look that much more relevant. In
Well,
this
back then it was all archetypes, so too.
right,
Like
right,
you were in one separate thing, and now it's not like that. So I like that they're doing that. So keep
right.
going. I'm
Like,
sorry. I didn't mean
they did a lot of emotion with Cyclops in these first 2 episodes. There is a lot of, just really, really 0 to 100, emotion and character development with this character. And there's also they came right out the jump with him just wrecking everybody with those with his eye blasts. And I loved I don't remember this from the original series, but I loved him moving himself with the eye blasts.
I
That
didn't
happened.
remember that either. Yeah, I was like the stuff that he was doing. I was so impressed with. I was like, why didn't they do this in the original one? And I
Yeah.
was like,
So, like, him using those optic blasts to move himself around the room faster, and,
mm-hmm.
the coolest scene with Cyclops in it, and I'm sure you guys all agree, is him jumping out of or not jumping out, but when they destroy the X-Jet,
Blackbird.
the Blackbird, I'm sorry for spoilers at this point, but they destroy the Blackbird, they all recover, and he first thing he does is make sure that everybody is okay before he goes, "All right, everybody's cool. All right, let me do this now." Turns around,
He's like, see ya on the ground, and
right?
it's like, does he have a parachute?
No,
What's happening?
turns around and dives, does a super optic blast, and the amount of dust was like anime levels,
Mhm.
right? Of just dust flying all over the place, and it's like, oh my god, they made him badass, right?
Yes.
Leading into, and I guess I'm just jumping into the Easter eggs now, right? The first time in animated X-Men history where they refer to Storm as an Omega level mutant.
Yes, that is
Yes.
one of that is an Easter egg. When I heard Omega level mutant, I was like, no, they didn't.
Yeah,
No, they didn't. They just did that.
right. And again, kind of referring back to what you mentioned before, Frey, we get a version of Storm that is much more justice than the original. The only time Storm gets any kind of justice in the original is in the Days of Future Past arc, because she's the leader. She's the one that has to take up the leadership when Xavier dies,
Mhm.
and Cyclops dies in that storyline. And she takes it up, and she's got a relationship with Wolverine. But I mean, like, in the Days of Future Past storyline, she is a complete badass. And
Yeah.
it's like, we get that with her on this when they have that scene in the Sahara Desert, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is great, right? And she shows it off. It's not just them saying it,
Yeah.
she wrecks every Sentinel
Mhm.
just in a heartbeat,
Yep.
So just the level of care in making sure that every character had their place and every character was relevant, even
And
Jubilee
had their
was relevant.
moment.
Right,
They all had their moment.
right.
And I think that was it. Now, Cyclops had a lot of moments, and I think that he deserved it because he
Yeah.
didn't hardly get any in the original run. He was kind of the wet blanket of the original run. I mean,
We are really
but
gonna piss fours off right now.
but he's so much better now. I like this
Yeah.
Scott. I mean, he's better now. And and the optic blasting, I was like, that was freaking awesome. And Storm and like Magneto and Storm doing it, like Magneto did the wrapped the things and made them look like old like swords, but they were like lightning rods.
Yeah.
And then had
They look
Storm
like the Sword of Damocles that he was dangling above them.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And then he brought him down and then she electrified him, and I was like, how freaking awesome is that?
Yeah.
Like that was so cool. That was something that I was like, if they showed this in live action, I would be going out of my freaking mind.
Right.
Like that kind of thing. I was like, this is great. They're much more of a team. They work together really well. And it seemed like they were always infighting in the original animated series. And I'm just like, I feel these 2 episodes, I'm totally invested again. Husby's invested. Yes, we make fun of the hokiness, but it's all in good fun.
Mhm.
So.
Well, I would like to. I know we're talking about Easter eggs and stuff like that. There are subtle changes to powers and characters and abilities.
Yeah.
I'd say in these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And something we're talking about like deeper stories and like we get into Logan's alcoholism, stuff like that. Will we get actually saying Nazis in 97? Because the original one could not say Nazis.
Well,
He was from a small country that army invaded.
right. I think they're still going to stay away from that. I don't think that they are going to do a direct Holocaust reference the way that it's always been, just because it makes it a little more ambiguous, and it also makes it makes it so that you're not tethering him to a certain timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that, but that is his character arc.
No, it is.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to touch on it. If they don't do it here, are they going to do it in the MCU? Is really the question.
Right.
Because if they do it here, they don't have to do it in the MCU.
Right.
I don't know. Like now, I think all of that will depend if the MCU does it. And I mean, this is the MCU as well, but it's not canon because they said that. But I think that this is the amuse-bouche to introducing the X-Men. They're getting everybody back into it, getting people familiar with their powers, getting people familiar with who they are, so they don't have to do an origin story. So we're all reminded, and they can just start at a certain point. And I like that, and I think it probably goes parallel with Deadpool as well, because we're getting those before we're actually getting a lot of mutants in the MCU.
Right.
So I think it'll depend on if they go younger or older with the mutants.
Yeah.
I mean,
will this lead up to these characters as we know them for Secret Wars before we introduce the new cast?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of variables for what we could get out of the mutants right now. Like where this is concerned, I'm really just liking the ride. You know, like I want to watch something that I don't have to be like, oh God, is this going to lead into this? Is that going to lead into that? Oh my God, when are we going to see this person again? This is just me watching a good time with some mutants kicking ass.
Right.
And I love it.
So I've got a panel question for you guys here, and it's a deep cut nerd question for all the nerds on the internet right now, right? But I'm going to go down one at a time through each of you guys on here. At the end of episode 2, we get the birth of a Nathaniel Summers.
Nathan Charles Summers.
Do we think that this is Cable or X-Man?
It's Cable.
What do you think, Forrest?
It's Cable.
Think it's Cable?
Yeah, I know it's Cable. It's freaking Cable.
Okay.
If you know your 1974 X-Men, I'm about to go fray on you. If you know your 70s X-Men, then you know what's fixing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We have... All right, I'm about to get started. I've waited.
I know which one this is. I just had to do this as a cut just because on Twitter, immediately after the second episode, the first two episodes aired, Liefeld says, "So what episode do you think Cable shows up in?"
First of all, these
No.
Gen Z morons can piss off. First of
Oh,
all,
that was
number
Liefeld, but I mean,
number two, this is going so many directions,
Mhm.
and it all starts with Fox Kids and Chaim Saban's not inability, but restriction from delving into storylines that the censors at the time would not let them tell. Inferno is not a story you can tell on Fox Kids in
Mhm.
1993
Mhm.
because the inner circle is the Hellfire Club.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I say Cable because Jean Grey just knocked at the door
Yeah.
and Madeline Pryor
yep,
gave birth to
Yes.
Nathan Christopher Summers. It's
Well,
freaking
they said
Cable.
Charles though.
I
She
know,
said Charles, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
but they are appeasing people,
Mhm.
which they're still going to take their creative liberties to do.
Yeah.
But the door to Inferno and the Goblin Queen just opened
yeah,
in the same episode as the Trial of Magneto,
yep,
in the same episode
Yeah.
as X-Men 274, the relationship between Magneto and Rogue.
Mhm.
so many storylines opened up in this.
Oh yeah.
And again, like just this, House of M is got like origins in this right now, and
Mhm.
we've got this relationship going on, with Storm losing her powers,
Mhm.
that's leading into an excuse to do life death. I mean, like there's so many different storylines that they've just set up with these two episodes. Like they don't even have to all hash out right now. The
Yeah.
fact that at the very beginning, in the opening, we haven't even talked about the opening, because it was two different openings, right? The
Yeah.
opening, there is a scene with Morph dealing with the fact that Sinister is still in his head.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Which means that's something that's gonna come up.
Yeah.
They've talked about Genosha. Like, there's so much going on that it's like there's a lot of storylines that they're setting up for future seasons of this show. It is fucking genius.
But they have to take care of the past first.
Mhm.
They have to take care of the past first. There are stories that the Fox Kids version could not tell
Yeah.
that they can now tell. And it's kind of a catch-22 because, number one, Marvel and the writers of the show want to stay comic accurate, but you're still dealing with Disney. Disney at the moment is not as bad as Chaim Saban, but it's still Disney. So the reference you made earlier to Holocaust, yeah, maybe they're not going to be able to go that far, but they can still deal with Wolverine saying damn and having a couple of beers with his buddy Morph,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is fine.
I love that because like that was from the first season of X-Men was one of the things that like a lot of people were like, "Oh man, they killed off Morph," and it's like, "Oh, well, you don't get this friendship between Morph and
Mhm.
Wolverine that was so prevalent." And they made that a point of reference at the end of that second episode with him turning into Sabretooth and then fighting, but it was like a
Mhm.
friendly fight, right? Like
Yeah.
it's and they're drinking beer at the same time. It's like that is something that Morph and Wolverine would do.
Mhm.
It's great on that. And oh my god, another Easter egg just being the amount of characters that Morph turned into.
I know.
Mhm.
Like every freaking X-Men that people have ever wanted to see on the show, he'll turn into him. I'm just convinced that he's going to now.
Did you guys squee like I did when when Lady Deathstrike just showed up?
Yes. I was like, where the hell did she come from? And then
Yeah.
and then Colossus, and I was like, it's Morph.
It's Morph.
And
yeah.
then it was Psylocke, and I was like, are you kidding me?
You
So
know,
I
or
have a
again when they're in
question
the
about
Sahara.
that.
Well, what was it saying when they're in the Sahara and he turns into Archangel to fly,
Yeah,
or
that was
Angel
awesome.
to
Yeah.
fly out? Like, just so many fun things. And before I let you answer that, this popped into my head. The other thing I squeed about, right, in the very first episode, the reference to the original First
Yeah.
Class.
The photo.
Yeah.
That was
To
so
the
awesome.
point, it's literally the cover from the first X-Men comic book, and it's like it's Beast before he becomes the big blue beast. You know, you have Cyclops with the original blue overhead and everything, like the blue hood
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
It's the original X-Men, and it's like that's fan service to the degree, but to the point where they're using it as a reference in the show, and I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, they did it.
They did that with
in-
Iceman when he came
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did it in season 4
Mhm.
when there was a memory sequence of them in the
Mhm.
original outfits, but they didn't elaborate on it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
them. It showed them training in the danger room with the original outfits.
Mhm.
Frey, what were you gonna say?
So my question, and this is Husby and I were talking about it. So when we realized that was Morph, right? Where did he get the katana swords for Psylocke? Did he just make them out of himself?
I'm
Or
sure he pulled those out of his ass, literally.
so Husby said that it was because bad video editing and continuity. And I was like, okay.
Well, it's also animation. You can make them do
Yeah.
whatever you want. So
I know, but I was just like, wait a minute. Where did those swords come from? How did he get those?
I mean, technically, where did the adamantium claws come from when he came in as, where did the wings come from when he turned
Yeah,
into?
but those are actually a part of each person. The wings are a part of Warren, and the claws are a part of Logan. The katana swords that he was using were real katana swords, not her psychic ones. Now, if they were her psychic ones, I would say, oh, well, maybe he can mimic powers too, but then that would be a stretch. Anyway, I'm like, that would be a stretch, but nah. So that's why I'm like, where did the swords come from? That was like the only thing that I was like, where did the swords come from?
Right,
So.
right. How about the early reference to Sunspot? Like, I mean, I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, you have another mutant that is a massive power character, and you have him kind of being a spoiled douchebag. And that kind of gives an excuse to give Jubilee a little bit of a mini arc, and I kind of like that they're giving Jubilee a little more to do.
I was hoping that he talked about that he had to fight a nightmare bear at one point. Because technically in the Fox universe, he would know Colossus's sister.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he'd already technically have an in with it.
Right.
Well, yeah.
They have to reference it at some point in time.
At some point. I think they will. I really think the way that these first 2 episodes went, there were so many Easter eggs in there. That, I mean, it's cool. I mean, didn't they at one point mention like Tony Stark, or we saw like a logo of his or something, and then oh gosh, there was a lot of stuff. Anyway, but yeah, the Sunspot stuff, I was really happy about that because I just love that stuff. I want that stuff, and him just being like a little brat and having like his own card. I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's very 90s.
It's interesting how we all have the different viewpoints of how this all went down. It's like I'm not seeing the way I watched the episode. Like I'm not seeing. Like I saw what y'all are saying, but I don't view it that way. It's like
you didn't think Sunspot was a spoiled douchebag?
I didn't think it was a spoiled douchebag. No, I think he's a teenager with money.
Yeah, he's a spoiled douchebag.
who's being a typical teenager
Yeah.
who has money
Teenagers and douchebags already.
with mommy daddy issues.
Well, I think it's because
Hello, X-Men.
I think this is a way to establish Jubilee as part of the X-Men because he is taking Jubilee's spot, just like Jubilee took Kitty Pryde's spot from the original pilot, Pride of the X-Men. So this is just a way, as she even points out, to introduce him and to get him into it. She's now in the recruiting phase because, let's face it, in the original series, really what she did was she ran away, she got hunted by Sentinels, she freed Sabretooth. That's about it, unfortunately.
It was all Jubilee's fault. Everything.
And then she
and when it wasn't Jubilee's fault, it was freaking Gambit's fault.
Right. But then she had she just was
fucking beignets.
She was the naive teenager, and this is showing her growth into an X-Men, which has always been needed, I think, in the original series.
And she didn't need her own fairy tale theater to do it this time.
I was about to say that too.
Yeah.
But I also want to Phil's question about who is the child is one hands on Cable. I was expecting Cable to pop out at the as a post credit scene just to bang us on the head with it.
Yeah.
Because as you guys point out, we still see the psychosis that Morph has from Sinister because Sinister is a huge part of this.
Yeah.
And we know, or the rumors are, that Sinister is going to be the big villain of the X-Men in the MCU. So we have to use this as a jumping point, unfortunately.
And Matthew McFadden is going to work so much.
Because then once we get Cable introduced, and we have it, because we already have Bishop there, that we are going to get Apocalypse again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've already gotten we've already gotten Cable during the Days of Future Past story arc. Same thing with Forge. Same thing with Bishop. Which, I mean, that's a choice. There is a choice of adding Bishop as a mainstay character on the team. There's a reason that you add Bishop. It's not just because it's like, okay, well, Bishop would be a cool addition. Like, there's a reason you add Bishop to the team. It's because you have plans for a reason to kind of tie things together from earlier seasons. Again, it's a reason to bring Cable back. It's a reason to again, since we're going to be getting the Life Death story arc,
we need Forge.
So I mean, that's reintroducing Forge. That's the whole thing, is like, if we're going to be doing the storyline, it's how do you tie in Forge? Oh, well,
he sends people into the past. That's what his role was on the original run, and he needs a bigger role because he is a huge part of it.
Yeah,
he really is.
Absolutely.
Whether if you want to call it Days of Future Past, they also tweaked it, for one man's worth as well. And obviously the final was the final series of season 4 with the the time outside time with Apocalypse too.
Right.
So I think that's a great way to introduce all of this together. And I just want to point out, I have one issue with Bishop in these 2 episodes.
Okay.
Was it his hair?
No.
It's his terrible voice actor.
It is the fact that Beast had his time control device off of Bishop and was working on it.
Oh.
Because those devices are only what tethers them to that time frame.
Right.
They established that in the animated series. That's how they got rid of Nimrod.
Yeah, that is how they got rid of Nimrod.
Because he even points out,
took it right off.
This is how I stay here. Without this, and when his sister came into the past with him too, that was a huge thing. And have Beast have it off of him and working on it broke the continuity from the animated series.
Or they're going to explain it later on.
Yeah, like the story of why he's there permanently.
Yeah, because his future's no longer.
But then why still have why work on the band? Unless it has to come into a bigger play.
That's what I'm saying. There's probably going to be a bigger play later on. It's him working on. I mean, again, remember with these series, there's never anything that's that's a throwaway if it's something that's intentionally on screen like that, right? So
Mhm.
they made a point of, oh yeah, I'm working on this, and I guarantee you it's because Beast wants to understand the technology better. Knowing Beast, that's his nature. He just wants to understand what it is, and that way in the future, if there's an issue that they have, hint, then he can speak to it. Now also, we're getting Forge back. We know we're getting Forge back within the next 2 episodes. And Forge's actual mutant power is he can fabricate anything out of anything.
He's a techno genius.
He's a techno genius, right?
Yeah.
Like the Forge's whole power is he can make the most advanced technology out of nothing. He's MacGyver on steroids, but it's like, that's the whole thing is, okay, we know we're getting Forge back. We know that Beast is working on the technology. They're going to probably converge together, and there's going to be some story arc they're going to get into. If not now, they're going to plant seeds for a future storyline, which again, going back to Mr. Sinister in previous series, they kind of had already set up the steps and put the Easter egg, or not the Easter eggs, they planted the seeds for Age of Apocalypse.
Yes.
Right. So we just never got that far. But I guarantee you somebody was like, we need to finish this Age of Apocalypse storyline. Let's start planting the seeds. Let's plant some more seeds. And by the time everything comes up, it all meshes together with the original series and everything we're doing now.
Well, my question for you is, do you want someone to pop in, grab it, and go, woo?
If anybody, it has to
How
be
is that again?
No, I'm not doing it again.
It has to be Wade.
Woo! Come on, Aaron. Now you do it.
Because he has to pop in and say something to Cable.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. If Wade shows up in this series and it's Ryan Reynolds doing the voice, right? I will give up on. I'm just gonna be like, I retire. I'm done with everything. Like you just put Deadpool in the X-Men animated series as an Easter egg to Cable. Like that would be fucking amazing.
And it makes sense.
Yes, because it is part of that storyline. So it's like it would be great to see that.
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff. But I noticed it too. I'm glad you noticed it, Graveyard, because I noticed it too, and I thought it was odd, but I couldn't figure out why I thought it was odd. And you just made it so clear for me. You cleared it right up. My nerd fog is gone.
Now, real quick, I'm going to go over the names of the episodes just because there is a lot. The names of these first 2 episodes, especially after talking about them, actually have a whole lot more meaning than just the stuff that's on the surface, right? So obviously, episode 1 is To Me, My X-Men, right? That's a reintroduction of the to the X-Men series. We're getting reintroduced to all the characters. We're seeing newer versions of the characters and everything like that. So To Me, My X-Men, again, double meaning. We get it from Cyclops, which is a super badass moment. That's I would say
it was the Avengers moment.
Exactly. I was going to say it is on the same level as Captain America saying Avengers Assemble, right?
Yeah.
Seeing Cyclops say To Me, My X-Men. Now, the double meaning being that at the end of the episode, the twist is the X-Men now belong to Magneto. And
this whole belonging thing, it just rubs me the wrong way. But okay.
Right. But I mean, again, there's meaning behind all of it. So, in the end, the final line of the episode is To Me, My X-Men from Magneto. Right. So meaning on there. Now, episode 2 is Mutant Liberation Begins. Right.
Yeah.
So obviously there is the all the dichotomy between civil rights and everything like that. But also after the conversation that we just had, right? X-Men or Mutant Liberation Begins can also mean that they are liberating all the storylines.
Yes,
because they literally planted seeds for so many X-Men storylines all at once.
Mm-hmm.
They
did. There are like all these little string, like if it were Charlie Day, he'd have all the little red string all over the place trying to follow all these.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are so many storylines that they set up in a matter of like 5 minutes. You know,
Mhm.
like that final ending scene when Nathan's born. You know, they tie all these little strings together, and for people who are not comic book nerds like us, they're like, "Oh, okay, these are, you know, kind of interesting storylines." But for all of us, he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, this just happened! No, that's that storyline. This is this storyline. This is this."
Oh my
You
god, we're going here. We're going there. We're going to.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, and it's like one after the other before we get Madeline Pryor, because we know what the hell is going to happen next, right? So it's amazing that, you know, they're able to tie things in like that. So um going on from here, any speculation you guys might have for the next couple of episodes, I'm just going to do the names and you guys tell me what you think.
Okay.
So episode 3 is Fire Made Flesh. Episode
Sunspot.
4, huh?
I'm
Sunspot.
pretty sure. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, well, yeah, I think that's sunspot, but I also I think that might have something to do with the Jean Madeline thing,
It could.
because Inferno is all fire, like it's all hellfire and stuff.
Right.
So Flesh Made Fire could be Madeline realizing she's a clone and becomes the Goblin Queen, and that could also be part of it too. So we may see both of those happening at the same
But there's,
time.
I mean, earlier on in the episode too, it's real quick and it's like a blink and you'll miss it moment. There is a reference to Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, in the Daily Bugle
In the
thing.
Daily Bugle, right? So
Yeah.
they're looking at the Daily Bugle and they're talking about the Hellfire Gala. So we know Hellfire Club exists, at least within this within this timeline. It's already there, right? So like that's that whole thing right there. Episode 4 is Motendo / Life Death Part 1.
Oh man, are we gonna get Mojo?
I think you guys know where I stand on it. Is I think it's going to be Mojo. Instead of doing a movie, he's doing video games.
Oh,
That's gonna be so fun, and it's like all VR. Oh, oh yeah. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
I think he's going to transport the X-Men into a video game.
yeah,
Oh, that would
that
be
would
so
make sense,
awesome.
especially with Mojo. That makes a lot of sense.
Was Arcade was one of their
Yes,
their villains, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
And
okay,
Spider-Man.
yeah. Huh?
And Spider-Man's as well.
In Spider-Man Arcade.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously Life Death. We were just talking about that, so that's going to be the Storm and Forge story arc.
So
mhm.
excited.
Episode 5 is Remember It.
Remember it?
What do you think, Aaron? We know it's Gambit's catchphrase.
It's okay. I can be fours.
But
Fours,
what do you think?
Fours died in Saberland. He didn't die here.
Oh, okay.
But what are you thinking it is?
Oh, it's Gambit. The
But what
name is Gambit. Remember it.
Yeah.
Share.
There's so much I want to talk about, and we're so almost out of time, and I've barely been able to say anything, and it sucks because there's so much I want to say.
No, please talk, dude. Please.
No,
Yeah,
keep
talk,
going.
talk.
Next episode.
Yeah, because the whole thing, obviously we just saw Gambit see the whole situation with Rogue and
I think he's gonna make a deal with Sinister
are we there?
because he's so heartbroken because of the whole Magneto Rogue thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gonna make a deal with Sinister.
Oh, what if it's the Montclair event?
It could be.
You know, so
So
where he switches over and he tries to kill Bishop.
yeah.
Oh man, that it could be the Montclair event, because if he does make a deal with Sinister, and Sinister wants him to kill Bishop, then that's, I mean, the characters are already there for you to start the Montclair event.
Yeah.
Oh man, okay, that's okay. That just made me think of that. Episode 6 is Life Death Part 2, so obviously going back into that storyline. Episode 7, Bright Eyes.
It's Force's boy, I believe. I think it's gonna be about Cyclops.
Yeah, probably.
Do we think that we revisit Scott's family?
Ooh, are we
Like
gonna get
this-
Corsair?
Like we're getting Starjammers back already.
So we've been introduced to his dad. Did we get introduced to his younger brother?
Yeah, we were introduced to Havoc.
No, not Havoc. Havoc's his older brother.
Yeah, Havoc's his older brother. What's the younger brother's name?
I'm
it
forgetting his
Quake?
younger brother. Is it no? Because his
It's not
younger
Quake.
brother,
Mm-mm.
his younger brother is an Omega level mutant, and he is he was one of the like big cosmic villains.
Vulcan.
I think it was Vulcan.
Was it Vulcan? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
look it up.
He basically he has the same kinetic powers that Havoc and Cyclops have, but he controls it with his hands instead, and he has like full control over the void. And he basically can like evaporate and kill anybody with just the thought. He is really powerful, and he almost takes over the entire Shi'ar Empire at one point. So he actually has a lot to do with Corsair. I don't know if they're gonna do that right away, but I mean, he would be a good character to introduce for a future storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think that would be cool. I think they need to do that.
Yeah.
That's not. Is it Gabriel Summers?
I think it is.
Or is it Adam X, where it's his mom with the Emperor of the Shi'ar Empire?
No, it wasn't that one. It's he is another son of Corsair. He's a Summers. So the last 3 episodes are part 1, part 2, part 3. Tolerance is extinction.
Yep.
Which basically we're just it's obvious what that is. We're going right into the storyline. So I mean,
It's Civil War, it's Master Mold, it's Gyrick again, it's all that.
They planted all the seeds in those first 2 episodes. So I mean, like we already know that that's going to be by the end of the series. That's where we're going to end everything, and then going into season 2, we're probably going to go into more resolution for the other story arcs.
Yeah, I think so. It'll take a while for the whole Genosha thing. They'll want to build that up.
Yeah, and then also House of M, there's got to be a lot more. There has to be a lot more conflict, which that's why I think House of M won't happen until like season 2. Question is, do they introduce? Do you think season 3? Okay. Question is, between this season and next season, do they introduce his children? And I mean all 3 of them, not just the twins.
Well, they mentioned that Quicksilver was his child in previous seasons.
Okay.
Because I remember that was like in season 2 when I was watching season 2, Quicksilver's in that. Yeah. And that's how they get Magneto to help them, is because Quicksilver's in danger. And so that's kind of where they go there. I think it was season 2.
That's season 4.
Is that season 4?
And the only reference that was never made was that Lorna is one of Magneto's daughters, and they never made that connection.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
the only connection that they made was Wanda and Pietro.
Yeah.
And that's how we get Madame Bova, and that's how we get Wundagore, that's how we get the High Evolutionary.
Yeah. And I mean, that just means we did we not get Polaris at any point?
So
I thought we did.
So in the Iceman episode, the X-Men take on X Factor from the 90s. Okay. And it was it was the 90s X Factor team that had Lorna, Strong Guy, Wolfsbane.
Wasn't Jamie in that?
And
Multiple Man?
And Multiple Man.
Yeah, it was like
because he was steadily kicking the crap out of Logan.
Well, it's easy to do in there. Like, you can make as many of you as you want, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know anymore. But Vulcan is Gabriel. You're right.
Okay.
But
yeah, no, so like bringing that up is like by season 2, he's saying season 3, we have to have so much conflict that, and by that point we need to have introduced Scarlet Witch so that we can get that no more mutants moment, and everybody just disappears, and then we have the House of M situation going on.
Yeah. You have to have her for that.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do it.
But I think by season 2, I think by season 2, they will have established the X-Men in the MCU. So then that way it won't be as much of a leap for your casuals to understand what's going on.
Do you think
Did you
this
just say
show-
casuals?
I did say casuals.
All right.
Do you think that they'll ever tie in these X-Men into Secret Wars by, be it Scarlet Witch or something? That's how we.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
They might. I mean, because the version of Beast that we got in the Marvels was this version of Beast. It was Kelsey Grammer, but I mean, like, it was this version of Beast.
And it was Xavier in the hover chair.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, we've gotten, specifically that Sir Patrick Stewart's version of Xavier was exactly this version of Xavier.
Yes.
Right.
Wait a minute. So this is the future that the X-Men fought for?
It might be.
Oh
I think.
my God.
I think that's how the show will end. I think the show will end. Well, that universe is brought into the Secret Wars universe as a multiverse war.
Oh man. So that's your prediction that you have
Yeah.
going on here, because that's actually where I'm leading into is prediction.
That's my prediction.
I love that so much.
Yeah. I guess I've already like given off a whole bunch of predictions like on what's going to happen in future seasons. I'm going to say Force for last because I kind of want him to just kind of go off for a minute.
It's going to take me 25 minutes.
That's fine.
If it goes a little bit over, we're okay, man. So Frey, give us your predictions because I really want Force to go off. I really want to hear his thoughts.
I do too. Like, I kind
It's
of
not
don't want to do
predictions,
any
though.
predictions.
Like this is
no,
just
but we're gonna
be-
let you have your time. I mean, honestly,
Well,
do you want me to feed you questions? I'll totally feed you questions.
I was also going to say if because Marvel can do anything they want with the show, anything that we speculate is going to be a prediction because they could change anything up at any moment. So
Okay.
just they're educated predictions. We'll say that. But Frey, what
I want so many things to happen. I'm totally with Graveyard with the Mojo. I totally want to see Mojo again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love Mojo. I love Mojo World. It's like, I love it.
it was so
It's like-
gross and it was so good, and I want to
It
see.
was like my guilty pleasure. I
wanna
loved
see
it.
more
Every time like he showed up, I was like, oh my God, I love it. But I really would like to see, there's so many things, like there's so many. I kind of want to see Extinction Agenda.
Ooh,
I really kind of want to see that. It wasn't a great storyline, but I think that it has so much potential and so many things came out of it. But I feel like maybe Logan was a little bit like that. And so I don't know if they'll go that way. But like, I like all that kind of stuff. Like, I really want Rachel Summers to be brought into it and to be Phoenix. I loved her as Phoenix, and I would love Excalibur. If they can make that happen, that would be fantastic. So I'd like to see that kind of thing. I want to see more like, okay, we're X-Men, but we also have X Factor. We also have Excalibur. We have different groups because I think the thing about the X-Men is because there are so many mutants out there that we should be seeing those other teams. And I would like to see that. Also, the exposition that they did, they really shoehorned it in. Like just freaking Jean going, remember this outfit? I wore this. Last time I wore this was on the blue side of the moon. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me?
Of all the scenes, that was the only scene that annoyed me because I was like, oh God, it was one of those direct references that nobody wanted.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, everybody knows that's the outfit you wore when you totally when you tried to kill everyone.
Right.
Everyone. So yeah, whatever. But that's mine. Let's let Aaron go off.
Aaron, I need you to be passionate right now. Give us all your thoughts, sir.
This season, before we get into any kind of predictions, you have to remember it's much like season 2. Season 2 of X-Men was all about establishment. Saban and the writers back then were very limited on what they could tell, on how they wrote their stories. They had to be very timid. They had to be gentle, like that Logan woman. Right, gentle. You know, they couldn't tell the Miss Marvel story the way it really went down, which was brutal.
Mhm.
They couldn't be nasty with Genosha. They couldn't shave heads and put them all in slave outfits. Couldn't do it. They couldn't get into dicey, very dicey background stuff with Gambit and Belladonna, and they had to tiptoe and just kind of leave you guessing on a lot of storylines. Juggernaut and Xavier. God bless that man. I miss Juggernaut's voice actor so much. This season is all about establishment. There are so many meanings behind the numbers 97 being in this title. And part of that is to remind people, and so many people need to be reminded of this. I don't care if you're far left or far right or in the middle or you don't give a shit. You need to be reminded of this. This is 1997. And you have to deal with 97. We need to get 74, 78, 81, 91 all caught up to 97. So we need, before we can get into the Rachel Summers and the Ascani Sons and everything that we want to see that's going to be 4 seasons away, we've got to get through the initial stuff. That's why they're sowing the seeds. This is the reason why we're seeing Madeline Pryor now, because she's going to play an extremely integral role into what's fixing to happen between her and Jean, bringing Jean home, which is going to be a drama in and of itself because she hasn't been home, but also the future of little baby Cable becoming big, bulky, juice Jack Cable.
Yeah.
That's a super important storyline.
You have to get into the technovirus.
We have to get, and who's going to infect Cable with this virus before he's given off to Ascani. So that's a major role. I'll save the next part for last because it's going to piss people off. The liberties that they can take with Rogue and Magneto. Again, dicey stuff, Savage Land stuff that they couldn't tell back then. Because again, Saban was about entertaining children, not making not bringing comics to life. There's a reason why DC put out a commercial that says, "These H Daddy's Comics fanboy," if you remember that commercial. Because X-Men was not dealing with issues like your daddy's comic books. X-Men was airing on a very, very soft note at the same time Executioner Song was happening in the comics, which was major and brutal and violent and abusive, and Scott sleeping around with Psylocke and all that fun. You can't do that on TV. You couldn't do that on TV in the 90s. So it's important that people understand you've got this is taking place now. The trial of Magneto. It was short, it was to the point, it was long and drawn out back in the 80s, but they got it established. Storm. Let's tackle Storm for a minute. Storm is going to be a drawn out story. It's not just going to be a her and Forge thing. You got to remember, Scott is ready to step away from the X-Men, and there's only one reason he's sticking around, and that's because he doesn't trust Magneto. And when Scott's off his game, he's off his game. Cyclops, for as much as I love him, and as much as I love Norm Spencer, and as much as I love freaking Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 playing him right now, and my God, he does a good job.
Yeah, he does.
Scott is 0 or 100. He's the Boy Scout, he's Ward Cleaver, or he's screw the rules, all I have Jean. It's either we work as a team or Gene.
Yeah.
That's how he was. Label that for what hey, you want to call him a bitch for being that way? Fine. I didn't think he was a bitch. I always considered Scott to be the role model, the leader, the dad, the Ward Cleaver. You know, he was Cyclops was at the time, because it was 92 through 96, Scott and Jean came from an older world. Scott and Jean came from a time when you had Donna Reed as the housewife and Ward Cleaver going to work and the Beeve was your son. That's the world he came from. That's the only way he knows how to be. So he has to play the responsible Boy Scout role model who just can't be seen doing anything wrong until you F with his wife. And that's why he gets so extra hella super emotional. But nobody respected that. But
Wait,
again,
are you saying Cyclops is emo?
he can be, but he's also this is, I have a lot of respect for Cyclops because he reminds me of people in my life I used to look up to.
You know, and that's great. Honestly, no, I was giving you crap without like saying that Cyclops is emo, but no, I love that you love him. I do. I respect him more because you love him. To be honest with you,
he can be emo. Scott, when it comes to Jean, Scott makes stupid decisions. He just makes dumb decisions. He will go get on a Harley and chase after Sinister. Screw you, Wolverine and the X-Men. So there's that. Prediction wise, I don't want to go crazy with the predictions because there's just too much to solve right now. If I'm going to make a prediction, I'm going to say that there are a few things that are being set up that are going to be ongoing issues. Magneto and Rogue is going to be an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
That's going to have to reach it's going to have to reach some kind of resolution. Even if it's a temporary one. Sinister is going to be an ongoing thing because Sinister is what leads us all the way into Age of Apocalypse. However, I do believe that during season 2, when he was putting those disgusting tentacle teeth things all over Scott and Jean, and he was pulling those genetic DNA cellular things out of them, I think that was the birth of Madeline Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And now Scott's got a kid with a clone. So I think Madeline is going to lead us into Sinister. But Sinister, and by the way, his original voice actor is back, is going to be, I think Sinister is going to be a cliffhanger for us because we got to get into it later.
Yeah.
Well, and Sinister's got to be that way. Like, you never know when he's going to show up. You never know in the comic when he's going to show up. Like, that's the whole thing. And so, yeah, when they would do these like one episode like roundups, I would get so mad because I was like, you can't beat this guy in one thing. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm trying to go back. Omega level mutants. Omega level mutants and that vocabulary, to my knowledge, didn't become a thing until after the 2000s when they started giving mutants ratings. Storm, as she said from the beginning, is the mistress of the elements. It was amazing that we were able to see her turn sand to glass.
Oh my God, it was so cool.
She was insane. Just insane. And
she's such a badass.
And I think there's going to, if they go this route, because they keep talking about Scott leaving the X-Men with Jean.
Mm-hmm.
There was a story arc where Storm, without her powers, had to face Scott in the danger room for leadership of the X-Men, and she beat him. And he was blasting at her the whole time, and he lost because of a few martial arts moves Logan taught her. And she became the leader of the X-Men, proving to herself she could be an effective leader before she got her powers back.
Yeah.
And that was part of Storm's spiritual journey. Storm is going to have a spiritual journey, and that's going to be an ongoing issue. We will see the return of Xavier. And the Dark Phoenix, who will make a comeback because Madeline Pryor does become Dark Phoenix, will hearken the return of the Shi'ar Empire. And Xavier will come back. So there's that. Finally, and this is where we need to have the conversation, because it's either going to settle you or it's going to make you mad. But we need to talk about the expectations and the judgments. So I'm going to set the record straight right here and now. I'm not out to say told you so. I'm not here to say you're right or you're wrong. I'm just going to point a few things out. Number one, Morph looks the way he looks because Morph was never an original comic book character. Morph was rendered white, pale-skinned, bald in the Age of Apocalypse. Morph's character on screen is how he was drawn in the comics. It has nothing to do with agendas. It has nothing to do with trans people. It has nothing to do with gay people. It has nothing to do with somebody sitting at a Disney corporate chair trying to find a way to anger you because you don't like who's in office right now. Morph looks the way he looks because that's how he was drawn in 1998 in the Age of Apocalypse.
Right.
Number two, Morph and Logan are not gay. Let's go back to 1997. This is X-Men 97. Long before the internet, long before cell phones, bros and beers and brawling was a thing.
Yeah.
It's called camaraderie.
Yes.
There's nothing gay about it. Projecting your fears online about, oh my God, they're going to make Wolverine gay. Shut up.
And even if they did, why is that such a problem? Like, I don't understand why that would be a problem. It's not what's going on, but it's like, calm the fuck down.
Right. You don't see it as a problem, but you got to understand these are people who are so butthurt by Marvel because of Disney and the direction that previous Marvel shows and movies have gone, and they don't know their X-Men. They don't know their X-Men. Men from the 30s to the 90s drank beer and fought and brawled, and there was brotherhood and there was kinship, and for the love of God, read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Frodo and Sam were brothers. And it's okay to tell your family member that blood is thicker than water and you love somebody. Hell, I love all of you on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's okay. They can turn into Sabretooth and brawl and drink beer and be bros and dudes, because guess what? Much like regular human beings, they're not going to live forever. And look at it this way. Wolverine just got his best friend back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way I see it too, is like he just got his best friend back. Why would he not take advantage of that? Plus, there are many, many signs that he still has a crush on fucking Jean. They
Oh my God. So many frickin' signs.
Yeah. Like literally when she says I'm having the baby, he almost like goes into full is this happening mode. And he goes, oh, you're pregnant. Oh, I forgot you're pregnant. You're having
I like this.
Oh.
She goes, he's here. And he goes, who? Apocalypse? And he's like, the baby. And then she just like telekinetics like shit to him, like, let's go. You know, I was like, that's awesome.
But
and if you can't connect Morph turning into Jean and haggling Logan, to bros on Call of Duty giving each other shit, that's what Morph was doing. That's what Morph and Wolverine's relationship is. Morph is literally the living embodiment of all of Logan's best friends from like 19 or 1840.
Yeah.
He's had so many friends and so many lifetimes, and he's lost so many people. So the fact that Morph can just be who Logan needs him to be is more therapy than Xavier could ever give him.
Yeah. And that's literally so that's that scene where Morph turns into Gene in the club. The way I saw that was just Morph fucking with Logan. He was just fucking
Yes.
with his head. The way
Yeah.
you do with any of your friends, well, guys at least, you know, like the way we do with our friends when we just want to like agitate you for the sake of just doing it. Right?
I
Now-
do it. I agitate all of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes.
Last 2 points. Let's talk about the Daily Bugle.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I am going to call people out on. Stop assuming that just because they have a woman in a parka on a Daily Bugle, cover that was on the screen for less than a quarter of a second, that it's woke garbage. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a mutant, and her name is Dust.
Yeah.
And that's part of where she comes from. And guess what? She was in X-Men long before you came up with all of this injection into media crap. So there's that. And finally, you really need to know your X-Men. This is why it's important that when something's put on the screen, even for a quarter of a second, for this season, they are paying tribute. Every street sign was a writer or an artist's name that worked on the comics.
Yeah.
Every sign that on a building that they passed was paying tribute to how New York used to be before 9/11.
Yeah.
For anybody over the age of 30, you should have noticed the Twin Towers were there.
Yep.
Yeah, they were.
I don't care if you're right or left. Get out of your ass. This is X-Men. This is not about any one group. This is a story that Stan has been trying to tell for over half a century. And it comes down to this. Stop hating people different from you.
It's literally the story they're telling in X-Men.
Yeah, that's exactly the story they're telling in X-Men. And I have to tell you,
Hold
that
on.
Benetton being the company that was doing the fashion show, so 90s. Okay, go ahead.
Y'all better thank your lucky damn stars that the issues we're dealing with in real life today don't involve Omega level powers.
Oh shit.
You better be freaking happy that every different color of skin comes with its own unique power, that every gender comes with its own unique power, that every choice in life comes with a mutant power. Because holy crap, we would be literally filled with Gyrics and Magnetos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would touch Magneto's hair. But it's luscious.
We would I mean, I was gonna say we would have more of this character in the world, but you know what? This guy exists, and I saw so many parallels to. And he was exactly the way he is in the comics, but I mean, I saw so many parallels to how people act right now. Executioner,
Yes.
you know, like Executioner is every insane militia dude that I've ever met.
Executioner is the skilled, talented, dangerous version of Graydon Creed Jr.
Yes.
Because
I agree with
season
that.
2, there was nothing more hate-filled than Creed in
Yeah.
that season. Daddy's boy doesn't like claws. That's what Executioner is.
Yeah.
That was a really good line reading, by the way.
If you're Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible. If you don't pay attention to anything, pay attention to this. Charles Xavier had a dream. And everybody who faced him challenged him with the same concept that unification or conquest, it is all the same. And Charles believed it's not. There is peaceful coexistence between mutants and ordinary humans.
Mhm.
And we already live in a time where we can look around and say we are all human. And it was Master Mold who looked at Kelly and said, illogical. Mutants are humans. There are far bigger threats than all of this civil unrest. My prediction, if I have to go absolutely bonkers, my prediction is the same prediction I have every time it comes down to X-Men. The most dangerous thing these mutants will ever face is Apocalypse. Apocalypse only cares about one thing: rewriting history in his image. Because Apocalypse, and they revealed this a few years ago, Apocalypse wants to build a society that is protected, Tony Stark, the shield around the world, from intergalactic threats. He feels that mutants are the final stage for galactic conquest.
And he has
Apocal-
amazing blue lips.
And I mean, technically, he's also, augmented by aliens too. So we do have to finish this off, guys. So ending every.
Wait, but I think Forrest was still making his point. Let's let him finish his point.
I'm going to end with my rating.
That's exactly what I was going to do right now. I was going to say we need to do ratings. So, of course, give us your rating on the show overall so far for these first 2 episodes.
For as sold out to X-Men as I've been my entire life, I'm going to give this show a 9.5 out of 10. It's not a 10. It's not a 10. 10 is a perfect score. The show is not perfect, and that's nitpicky stuff from me. I don't like Bishop's voice actor. I don't like Trask's voice actor. And as much as I love Jean, Jennifer Hale was a poor choice for her. She just was. She just doesn't fit. There are some things that either need to be retconned or explained heavily. And that is the relationship of Warren Worthington to the team, because Angel was an original X-Men member, but he is still treated as destined to join the X-Men. So they need to explain Worthington or change it up. Aside from that, I'm just as much in love with this as I was 30 years ago. I've literally waited my whole life for this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Frey, what is your rating? X.
My rating. My rating. I'm going to give it. I'm not going to go as high as Force because I think it has a little bit more to go than that. I think I'm going to give it a solid 8.5. There were some things like Rogue bringing Scott to the hospital, and then the doctor wouldn't birth the baby, and then it was and the first thing Scott said was, Rogue, find out, get his medical knowledge, and you can do it. Instead of what I think that Cyclops would do because of in the comics, where the first thing he always tried to do is talk, like try to convince them and then go through it. Like that would have been the last thing. So I just thought that was a weird choice. And then Rogue
There
was
were
just like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. And it's
there were reasons.
well, but
there-
I'm just saying, like, to first, like, being that I read like I was so into the comics, it just didn't
Excuse me.
ring true to me with the character. Now the character in the show, that harkened back to I'm Scott Summers and you need to do what I say and don't give me any questions. Because that's what he did, like in the original animated series, was like he was just like, I'm the leader and you're gonna do what I say. And I mean, I was toning it down a little. He was a little bit more melodramatic than I was.
You'll
But
either follow orders like the other members of this team, or you're out of it.
right, exactly. He said shit like that. And it was like anytime he could get well, he could give Wolverine a like, dig, he fucking did it. And that was actually the part that I loved about it. I was like, oh yeah, do it, drama, drama. But I was a teen then, so that's probably why.
Oh,
The
God.
worst thing that happened since Xavier is gone is you.
Exactly. That was amazing. All right, so I think that they might have a little bit more. So 8.5 out of 10, and I'm like 8.5. Corny 90s slang, like dork and dweeb,
Not.
and I was like, oh my god. And out of 10, Jean Grey collapses into Wolverine's arms after coming through the door. Scott! All right, that's mine.
Graveyard. What is your rating, sir?
I loved the revamp of the introductions of the opening credits.
Yes.
I love that they had Callisto still clutching Leech in the alleyway as the cops drew by. They redrew that perfectly. That's always a scene in the original comic, in the original show. So
Yeah.
they recreated stuff. I think with the introduction of Leech, with Callisto coming up as well, that we see the homages they did, I think were great. I said my only demerits that I'm giving this is I felt like finding Master Mold and the fight happened way too fast. It seemed very rushed at the end. And I would say that the last part of both episodes were very rushed, I feel like, to do it. Like they crammed it in just to get in there. And my only issue, I talk about the armband for Bishop, is that Magneto said, I wear this helmet to protect me from Charles. That never happened in the show.
No, he never said that in the show. It was never brought up.
We knew that in the comics, but it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, it's the first time that they're
Because the only time they had to worry about taking the helmet off for psychic powers was Juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
And they never worried about that with Magneto in the animated series.
Mhm.
So it's nitpicking for me, but that just, there's some pieces there that just didn't make sense to what the continuity was from the animated series.
Yeah, and they may have just retconned that for the show to match the comics more.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give it 9 beignets out of 10 Gambit charged Wolverine claws
You
bouncing off of Blob's stomach to do his own fastball express.
That was so cool. That was like one of the coolest. The action, the animation action, I feel like is just like 1,000 times better.
that was going to be my out of 10. Was literally
Yeah, and for those who don't understand Gambit's powers, adamantium can't be blown up by Gambit's powers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. And before like we finish, did you like when you guys saw Gambit like at the end and he had that card, did you guys notice it was the Queen of Hearts?
yes.
Oh, right to the heart. Okay, go ahead.
Now I have to change mine.
You want me to help?
So no, I'll come up with something. So I have been making all of my points as to why I absolutely love this show. So in the end, due to my nostalgia that I'm just right back into this show, just as much as I was when I was invested in it as a kid. the amount of Easter eggs, the amount of storylines that we have built up to, that we are building to, and that we are yet to see. I am gonna give this. I'm gonna switch my first one for my second one because it works, but I gotta come up with the first one now. I'm gonna give this 9 morphs a changing into all my favorite characters out of 10 Magneto's luscious locks.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because those locks were on point.
Man, I even asked Husby, I was like, how does Storm keep her hair up so much like that? It looks so good. And
She has
and
control
he
of the wind. She just has the wind constantly holding it in spot.
she loses
You know
her
what?
powers and her hair stays up.
But
I'm
here's the
just
thing.
saying.
The scene when she gets on the bus, her hair is still up. And when she loses her powers, the first thing she says, the wind. I cannot feel the wind.
Yeah.
Right. So
the breeze.
Right.
The breeze.
Right. So her hair was still up. That means that even without her powers, the forces of nature still make sure that her hair is on point.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and
Fantastic.
you want my out of the blue love prediction that will never happen? Grandmaster has a TV show on Mojo's World.
That would be amazing.
Because we know he has to air his events, and Mojo TV is a perfect place for him to have his own show.
Okay, quick prediction for live action. I think that that's going to happen mainly because we know Mojo World exists because the Deadpool movies are canon and Shatterstar was in Deadpool 2. So we know
Yes.
Mojo World exists,
Mhm.
which
And-
means since those are now canon in the MCU, right? Or those always were canon when they bought us Fox. Feige said of all the things that are here, nothing's canon except for Deadpool. Deadpool's coming over as is. So given that we know that Shatterstar and Mojo World exist because he talks about Mojo World and Shatterstar, obviously, when he gets killed, he's very much not human. Turns into a green blob. We know he's not human, right? We know that Mojo World exists. We know that that the Grandmaster is very aggrandizing and everything like that. My prediction is that your prediction is going to be a thing in live action MCU because the elements already exist.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I've been saying for how long now that
Oh, forever.
Secret Wars is going to end with a lone camera pointing at the battleground, at Battle World, and it's going to be Mojo broadcasting.
It's like a
And-
little scroll that says, "Thank you for watching Mojo TV."
Or that's the post-credit scene.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
And Frey, the lines you were looking for earlier
Yeah.
were rain, quench their thirst for violence.
Exactly.
From the ends of the earth, send limitless cold upon them.
That was awesome. In the second episode, like when she was doing the conducting the electricity, and she says, "Let's see how they deal with good conduct," and I was like, "That was the best weather-related dad joke I've heard all day."
Those who control the ground compare nothing to who controls wind and rain.
It's
She-
just amazing.
The amount of scene chewing that she does
Mm.
is amazing. The amount of scene chewing she still does is amazing. And I think there's something about the way she chews the scenery that is just you can't change that.
Oh, it's hilarious. I love
She
it.
is a goddess.
We
Yes.
used to
She's
yell at
goddess
the
level,
TV.
So she as a scene chewing Shakespearean as Thor is.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
This
Oh my
one-
gosh, can you imagine them together?
Yeah.
My-
But before I close this out, the other prediction I have for the show is yes, we're getting life death with this right now. But I think down the line, because again, seeds were planted in season 3, season 4. We're probably gonna get that Black Panther and Storm love affair that happens because Black Panther exists in the X-Men universe. Was that season 3 or season 4 where Black Panther shows up and they ask him for help? It was either season 3 or season 4. They go to Wakanda and ask him for help.
It's
Oh,
it's
man.
probably gonna be when all chaos is happening, where we get the silhouette and we get the thwip of just the hand of
yeah.
Spider-Man rescuing people.
Yep.
Yeah, they did a lot of that because they couldn't do a lot. But I mean, yeah, I get it. I just think there's so much potential and it's going to be so much fun. I really honestly believe that this show is to get the non like dialed in comic book people to know who
The casuals.
yeah, I
Guys,
don't want to say that because sometimes I'm casual fandom about stuff.
But that was the point of Batman and X-Men coming to Fox. That was to net the casuals, to get them excited. It worked. It
Yeah.
worked. It's what got me into comic books.
Yep.
And on that
See,
note,
there you go. Yeah, I mean, but that's it. That's like now this new generation who hasn't, who didn't get that before, they can get it now and they can start learning about the X-Men and get to know them more. And then Deadpool's coming out, so we're getting this. It's gonna, we'll be able to recognize these people in Deadpool if we don't know anything about the comics. And then Deadpool's gonna go off, and then they're gonna go, "Holy crap! What is Deadpool doing to all of these people?" And then we'll get him in the MCU, and everybody will be on the same page. And I think that that's a good way to introduce the X-Men because if you don't know who the X-Men are, it can be really intimidating trying to figure out who they are. And I think this kind of introduction is a good way to say, hey, well, this isn't canon, so you can just enjoy it, but you're gonna learn about characters that will be coming up. And I find that as a really interesting way to do it. And I hope it does well.
Will
What it
Deadpool
needs-
have the X-Men theme song as his phone ringer?
yes.
Which one? I think he should have one version as his like ringtone, one version as his text tone, and like another version as his message notifications, and like just so each X-Men theme just keeps going off at random times and they're like, what the hell? And it's like coincides with somebody else coming in and then he's like, oh, I just got a text or something, some weird shit like that, because that's totally Deadpool. And I'm gonna stop talking now.
It needs something the original show did, for as much hell as we give it concerning the hokiness and the corniness and the overall kid theme. What X-Men and Batman did was it opened younger people's eyes to the reality of some very important world issues. And that is, it doesn't matter how old or young you are, hatred's not tolerated.
Yeah.
And I don't want that message to be sacrificed for a good art scene or some sort of romance that doesn't need to be there. I mean, the main focus of X-Men has always been peaceful coexistence, and they used such powerful points to tell those stories. And I'm really hoping they don't sacrifice that. Don't lose the message during a time when, at this point in our lives, the people around us need to hear it the most. Don't sacrifice that message. Don't blow this, Marvel. Don't blow this.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, Forrest, because I think that this coming out now is a perfect time for it to come out because it's going to remind people that we're all human and it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. You're still human and everybody deserves to live. Like, it doesn't matter what when it comes down to it, we all have hearts. We're all, taking in breath and expelling breath.
If you want a reason to tear up and really remind yourself of what this show's about, go back to the episode where the Friends of Humanity kidnapped Beast's patient, Carly. That was the saddest, most hurtful episode I've ever seen. And Graydon Creed was exposed for just the heartless devil he really is.
Yeah.
That's the most hurtful episode of X-Men ever told.
Well,
of the show, absolutely. Because I was going to say, God Loves Man Kills is actually, to me, is what wrecks me still to this day.
Right.
Reading that one shot, I'm like, oh. So
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are going to end this episode. I would like to thank my illustrious panel for coming on last minute and discussing these first two episodes of X-Men with us. Fours, any pluggables you have coming up, sir? Anything you wanna throw out there?
In the next couple of months, keep your eyes open on some of the platforms I'm going to be on. I'm going to be uploading to Fiverr, Voquent, Backstage, possibly Voice123, Voices. My Instagram account will probably change. Right now, you can find me on Instagram as VOAAron. I'm on Discord as VO Aaron, and my Facebook is still the same. My Saber font work is still on Saber font. You could still go there and you could still buy lightsaber stuff, but there's just nothing new being added. So hopefully by the end of next month, I will have a full library of places that you can go if you're interested in voiceover work. You want to hire me for a project. I'll be ready and able, and it's an honor right now to be working with the legendary Elise Bowman as my official voiceover coach. She played Pan in Dragon Ball GT.
Awesome. Frey, what are some pluggables you might have here?
Hello, I'm Frey. I'm on Distance Nerding. A lot, like especially right now. I'm like, I feel like I'm on it every day now, but I am on Tuesdays. And then I'm also in Kyber Cave. Most of the stuff I'm on is on hiatus, or we're actually filming it. So I will be back on it again, I promise. You can catch me on Discord and all the servers. Not every server. I'm not in every single server, but maybe I am. And then I also have my own channel called Frey Girl. It's where Shadu and I do Classified, where we take your favorite fandoms and we classify them into Dungeons and Dragons classes. We also have a sister show called Journals of the Classes, which actually tells you about each class. So if you don't know the classes and you're like, what the heck is a ranger, then we actually give you that information. Right. And then Scarjo, she's gonna be a park ranger. And then we also have another one coming up. It's actually going to be about the different Dungeons and Dragons races as well. And then we're going to do like a couple one shots about magic and things like that. Yeah, hopefully I'll have more stuff coming soon, but that's me.
All right. And Graveyard, tell everybody about your shocking places that they can find you.
Yes, I'm your co-host of the Mostly Pod Out at Night, Mostly Podcast.
They mostly
Pod.
at night. Mostly.
You can find all new episodes over at Comic-Con Radio, and a week later they are beginning to be uploaded back again to Spotify just to get that audience back to where we had it. Yeah, make sure to check us out on social media, Pod Out at Night. We do have a show every Wednesday called Conversations the Void, where I talk to people in the horror world, and we are getting more and more guests, and it's growing, and I love to see where this is going. You can also find out all the super secret stuff that actually has to sign contracts and NDAs for now over at Horror Raven, as we are doing more in that realm. We just filmed a couple of shorts that we're putting out there. We are filming our new pilot for States Unknown this summer, and Mezzo from Kyber K Productions is doing the artwork for us, so I'm excited for all that stuff. And make sure to follow them out everywhere at Horror-Raven as we do new things and discuss kind of like the download, but for horror stuff every week for Horror Raven. And yes, I will come back to Kyber Cave probably in a couple of weeks here as I finish straightening out my life with all the horror stuff I'm doing.
All right. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I am the face of the channel at this point. I am your boy, Young Phil. Now you can catch us, Distance Nerding, on all the places: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Discord, MySpace, Vine, GeoCities, Friendster, Second Life, AIM, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle, OnlyFans. Always remember, it's only pictures of Aaron Watson's feet and Mandel's, the beard, and now coming soon, pictures of James's glasses sitting on the table and nothing more. Just that. If you'd like us to break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, pet, schoolyard bully, annoying neighbor, or just tell us how much you enjoy us, hate us, or wish the internet would consume us and spit us out at the feet of a sentinel, send us an email at distancenerding@aol.com, and we will read that out loud on the show, at least on the live show when we do the live show. So that is it from us this week, guys. Should we do the dance party on this?
Nah, let's not dance party.
All right. So
Let's exit out.
let's so to end the show, we're all gonna exit stage left.
We go where we want to go.
Are you looking at me, bub? We'll catch you guys later.